Foster Car Finance, proud sponsors of the Hawaii Famalam podcast. Haha, it's right, lad.
Welcome to another episode of the How Are We Famalam podcast. Today we are.
Shite, honest to God.
What are you doing? It's not even the
Yo, what's up, though? Hello, and welcome back to the How Are We Famalam podcast with me, John May, and my co-host, Jazza Dickens. Jazza,
Yes,
welcome.
Today we are joined by a very, very special guest, Kieran Owens, founder of KO8. Thank you for your time, Kieran.
I'm more than welcome.
How are we, Famalam?
Good Famalam, how are you both?
I'm great, Famalam.
All right, Famalam.
Good stuff, good stuff.
Right, just now that we got that out the way.
Sorry about
I felt like we've just done a podcast for the last 45 minutes, by the way.
Chase,
we were waiting for Chase.
You've probably been shying now.
yeah, honest to God, Chase. Yeah, Chase just didn't turn up. Poor Kieran's been stuck here for an hour.
That's all good. I just meant the content, the things we were talking about was...
I know, we got deep, didn't we?
It was good, mate. Yeah, it was good, to be fair.
But if Chase would have got out of bed, we could have recorded all that. Look at him fuming. Anyway, Kieran, thanks for coming.
No, more than welcome. Thanks for inviting me on.
So, Kieran, tell us where's your background? Where is you from?
From Huyton, originally. So, played football at a young age. Liverpool schoolboys right the way through school, ended up getting a YTS at Tramia. Didn't quite work out the football side of things, so ended up moving to Spain at 18 with the family. Ran a bar for 5 years over there.
Did you?
Family bar, which you wouldn't think, fitness obviously being the profession now. Played semi-pro in Spain, travelled a fair bit. So I used to go away and travel for like 3 months, 6 months of the year around Southeast Asia when I wasn't working in the bar of the summer. And then, yeah, just sort of led me into the fitness industry. We can go on and on, really. Do you know what I mean? We've got a gym now based in Dubai. Just got our second location, so we're based in Dubai Marina. We've now got one opening up in downtown Dubai as well. We've got a product that we sell worldwide into gyms and into homes, fitness app, online stuff. So yeah, mate, there's a fair bit going on. Like,
Yeah, wow. So what was it like as a kid playing for Liverpool, you say?
Liverpool schoolboys. So play for so schoolboys are like the schools, and then so you'd have like all the different places. So you'd have, the Whittle would be a team, Liverpool would be a team, Sefton would be a team. So it's just basically your school. So I went to Carlene and then play for Liverpool schoolboys.
Who was your Sunday League?
Sunday League so we had a team called the Eagle. So the Eagle was a Huyton based team. So that was our team. It was a famous team years and years ago. Like my dad played for the Eagle and all his mates and that. And then he set it up. So my dad and my best mate's dad, Yifter, who's not with us anymore, unfortunately. They set up the Eagle, so we were the Eagle. But we were good, to be fair. We were a bit warm, like.
What league
I've heard of them. I'm not a big football fan, but I've heard of that.
Yeah, the Eagle. Yeah, so
the Eagle lads.
yeah. So we played on the Shankleys. So we played right by Liverpool training ground. So by Melwood, mate. Yeah, we used to play on there, but decent standard. So like the Fair and Feathers and a few different teams like that. But yeah, we're a good team. Decent team, mate.
So do you remember what it was like getting trials? The first, it's excitement. The scouty is the days all the time.
Yeah, do you know what? I was at Wrexham, mate, from a young age. So I was at Wrexham when I was 8, and then I went to Liverpool. So Liverpool Football Club. I went there for a little bit. I think I was on trial for about 6 months. Like he wouldn't pull the trigger. The manager, I wouldn't say like I had to get out or stay. But that's where I met Sean first. So me and Sean ended up going to school together. My business partner Sean Clancy. But I met Sean at Liverpool first, so this was before we went into the seniors. But then I got let go by Liverpool and then went straight to Tramia, but I'd already had like the contract basically sorted. He said, you'll sign straight away.
What age
so
was this?
This was like 10, 11, mate. So from a relatively young age, yeah. And then just through school, I always just thought I'd be a footballer. Yeah. I think like a lot of young, naive lads, you just believe that that's what you'll be. You'll be a sportsman and, don't really pay much attention in school because of that.
Yeah, I got trials myself around the same age, and they said, we're not going to take it on today, but we'll give it a call back. I'm still waiting now.
Yeah.
Do you know I never played footy when I was a kid?
Not once?
No.
Never? No.
I'll tell you why. My cousin Anthony, he was brilliant at footy. My brothers were brilliant at footy. But I've got this hyper-focused thing. So once I get into something, that's it. But I remember thinking at age of 5, I was shit at footy. And I never ever played.
Yeah.
I reckon I know it is, isn't it? I reckon if I had got into it, I'd be like I'll be on Sky Sports now as a pundit. One of the most like celebrated players in the world. Honestly, there probably wasn't
For
it?
me, it was community. Everything was based around football. Me and all my mates, but
Was it?
yeah, but it can get taken. That can get taken. It can go too far, can it? As you say, as a kid, you can't even do that, can you?
It's an obsession, and I think it is very much like it depends where you're born as well. I think a lot of times. So there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell, and he talks about this. So Outliers, it's called. So it's about basically where you're from and who you're around, and nature versus nurture. And a lot of time it's nature. So a lot of these things, like, he'll equate even when you're born. So what he talks about is Wayne Gretzky, and he's from Canada, this guy, and he talks about all the NHL, isn't it, the hockey league. All them players are generally born around like January, February, March, because that's the school year. So their school year started in January. So if you were born in January, you were the more developed than the kids who were born in December. So then I was thinking about that. I was like, that's interesting. So then when I'd look back to like our school team, obviously September's your school year starts then. I was born in September. Sean was born in September. We were all like September, October, because we were a little bit older.
The ones who were,
Do you know what I mean?
in the year.
Yeah.
Starts that young.
I was
Starts
the youngest in the year.
That might be where it comes from then, John. Like, that might be where it stemmed from. You were just a little bit less developed because you were a year behind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then it also goes down to geographically where you're living. So for us, it's a boxing and football city, isn't it? So, it's no surprise that you boxed and I played football, because this is where we're from. But if we were from maybe, I don't know, a different country, you might be doing one of their sports instead, like where it's more popular.
At a certain age, I was 16 years old, and I was fighting from the 16 to 18 year olds representing England, and I always thought my day will come when I'm not only, I was doing well, but like, I think I will get the rewards for this, you know what I mean? Because I'll be the same age as everyone else one day, and then I'll be older than I'll be senior, you know what I mean? And I'll be even better than, but it's mad, isn't it? Because it's hard to survive in that world, isn't it? As a sportsman, when it's only 6 months at that age.
Yeah.
It's interesting you said that. That might just answer that question that
There you go, mate. We're at the price of admission, that one for you, John.
There we go.
Yeah, but it's a funny thing, isn't it, sport? Like, I think as well, at such a young age, everything's so immediate. So let's say you have a bad game or you have a bad spar, I imagine, Jazz, or like a bad fight, but you might still win. You take it so much to heart, and you don't realise, like, this is a long journey. You're going to go through the highs and lows. You're going to go through times where you feel like you're doing really well. You feel like you're doing great. You're getting the praise. You feel confidence. But then that'll also be pinned by the times when you're having, the bad game and you're not getting the praise of the manager and you're not getting that arm around your shoulder. And for me, I'm not saying I would have been a world beater by any means. I was okay. But I don't think I was any great loss to the sport of football by any means. But I think I just threw the towel in too early. I was 18 and I fell out of love with the game. Wasn't really doing that well.
Did you focus, stay somewhere else?
Yeah, it did, mate. And I think just, again, being from this city, my mates had left school, they had jobs or some were at it and they were earning money and they were going out and they were partying and all that. And I think part of me just being like that FOMO effect, the fear of missing out, like, oh, I want to do what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? And, even like my mum and dad, they were never the most pushy parents, really supportive, got a great family, great upbringing. Dad was always there for footy, always take me to footy. I didn't miss a match. But it was never like a pushy thing where you've got to do this, lad. So I think I knew I had that, like, don't know, they'd always accept it if I didn't want to do it. So
nice,
yeah. Nice, mate. But then, I don't know, looking back, I'm like, I should have been a little bit harder on myself and maybe they should have said, what the fuck are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to stick at this a bit longer.
Yeah. So the supporters what you chose to do.
Yeah, they did, mate. And as I say, I love them for it. Like, my dad's one of my best mates. But I think that I was saying to you before, off air, Jazz, like, the lessons I learned from throwing a towel in early, it was a harsh lesson and it was something that stuck with me. I felt that in the pit of my stomach for years and didn't really ever deal with it until I started the business and realised, no, you can't throw the towel in the air. Like, you've got to graft and you've got to see it as like a long term, that phrase that everyone's throwing around, instant gratification. You've got to think of it as delayed gratification, that mindset of, you were talking before yourself, John, about 17 businesses or business attempts before you actually make it.
Yeah.
So it's a long game, mate, innit? You're never going to master it overnight. And I think a lot of times at a young age, you're so naive and you feel like, oh, the world's over. But it's not. It goes on.
No. Yeah, and it's about learning what that mistake that you made in the last time and then applying it, because you only learn by failure, don't you? But anyway, sorry, whose mobile's going off? Is that mine?
Where'd you go from there? Where'd you go from your dreams? You fell out of love with something that you're so passionate about. Where'd you go from there?
Do you know, I moved to Spain, mate, as I say, at 18. So it was, so I moved over there, mate, with my family. My dad got a bar. So ran the bar and I just liked the idea of a change, really. to say, like I was going, sacked the footy, was going out a little bit too much, and I just didn't like the way my life was sort of going. Do you know what I mean? Like I was just, as I say, partying a little bit, going out, and as you do it like an 18-year-old lad. And as I say, yeah, moved to Spain, got over there, ran the bar, found that I loved the interaction with different people, and I found like myself coming on because obviously you're in Spain, people are coming from all walks of life, different characters, cultures, different parts of the world. And yeah, mate, I think you just develop as a person. So while that job doesn't relate to my job now, in so many ways, I think it gave me a lot of skills, like communication skills, people skills, things like that.
Because when I go away, I'll just say I had to start speaking to people in the street. Like I learned to speak a bit of Spanish in America, and I'm speaking Spanish to people, like Latin people in Miami who've never even met before. Where'd you get the confidence? You know what I mean?
Mate.
Did you get like that when you go away? Just speak to people you don't know? Because here I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I think I do it generally anyway.
Notice when you're on holiday around the pool, you start speaking to someone you would never speak to if you were sitting in a bus stop.
We went for a walk, didn't we? Do you remember that lad come up to us selling us the raffle tickets? Yeah.
I think he was on holiday, wasn't he? Because I just spoke to him on holiday.
Let's still expand on that story anyway, but we went, shall we?
I won't, yeah.
No, we went for a walk around Everton Valley round them ways, and this lad come up to us. And where was he from? Birmingham or something? He was like, all right, mate, do you want to buy some raffle tickets? And I was like, yeah, go ahead. And it was like, how much do you want? I went, yeah, there's a £5. And he was like, a £5? And he was made up. Anyway, he started giving Jazz training advice, didn't he?
That's got to be frustrating, mate, by the way. How many people do that to you? That must drive you mad.
He had no idea you're a boxer, did he? But anyway, he wouldn't leave me alone then. He got me WhatsApp because he entered this raffle group. And that was it for weeks. He just kept messaging me all the time, off to show me diets.
I didn't give him my number, did I?
No.
See where it's going. He's trying to give me a PT and everything else. I told you I'll get my number. No way.
Sorry, but the whole point of me telling you that story was like, that's what he done. He was just going round, just speaking to people in the park, wasn't he?
So I won the raffle, didn't I?
You won the raffle. Oh yeah, you come second. Did you get any in?
Oh, no, I never had my number, did he?
I boxed him now, I can't.
No, but listen, I know what you like to your original question, Jazz, about confidence and confidence to just speak to people who you don't really know, strangers. That doesn't come natural to me, or it didn't. You know, I think like my dad's that type of fella where like he goes down the street, like he knows everyone and that.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, we all know people, but I'm not that outgoing type. Like I'm a bit more introverted than that. But then, as I say, the bar was a way where you're behind the bar, you're serving people, you're gonna just have conversation constantly. And I just found like I was really intrigued then about the world, and people would tell me where they'd been and different things. And yeah, I got a love of, as I say, communicating with different people and just sort of hearing their story a little bit more. So then from there, ended up traveling quite a bit. And the traveling, it was interesting. So the first 2 times I went with my mates. So I done 3 months with my mates, I done 6 months with my mates the following year. And then the third year, I said, I'm going to go back. And no one wanted to go then. I think they were all like, we're going to do something different or whatever.
Where did you go?
So this was early 20s, mate. Went to what we do, we just get a flight to Thailand. And then we just sort of decide where we want to go from there. So it was brilliant, mate. I've bossed like some, amazing times. But I ended up spending, in the space of 3 years, 9 months in Laos, in a place called Vang Vieng. Didn't even know it was a country. So what had happened, we were on Phi Phi Island, which is like next to Phuket. And we were just deciding where to go. We didn't have a clue where to go next. And we've been there for 3 weeks. Normally people go to them islands for, say, like 5 days or something and then move on. Like, where do we go? Yeah. Got talking to this fella and he went, just been to Laos. I'm like, what part of Thailand is that, mate? And he went, it's not fucking Thailand, mate. It's a different country. I had no idea, as I say. So we said, get there. So you'd have to get a night train from Bangkok to Nong Khai. And then from there, you drive down into a place called Vang Vieng. So it's landlocked. There's no beaches or nothing. But there's a river. Have you heard like the Mekong River?
Not really.
The Mekong River flows right through Asia, basically.
Oh, right, okay.
But there's like an offset of it called the Nam Song River. And mate, it's one of the most beautiful places I've ever been in your life. It's just mountains everywhere. There's a river. But then there was a thing called tubing. So tubing was you get on like a big rubber ring. And while you're on this rubber ring, you're floating down the river and there's like little rapids and all that.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of it? No?
No.
So as you're going down the river, there's bars. There's like these fucking wooden bars and it's just people on there, all music playing, DJs and all that. On the river itself,
And
mate,
you're on
yeah.
like a little rubber ring?
You're just on a rubber ring. So what they'll do is they'll throw like a bottle out on a rope. They'll pull you in and then it's just all going off, mate. It's like it's the morning. Do you know what I mean? It's like 11 o'clock in the morning. Wow. So I done that for 9 months. I just kept going back and not just that every single day, but
on this rubber ring.
On this rubber ring, mate. So as I say, we went to Laos and the plan was to do like, 5 days or something and then move on. We stayed there for 3 months, like in the same guest house.
Yeah.
So then went back the following year, done 3 months. And then the last year went back on my own. And again, mate, done 3 months. But the good thing about not having me mates there was you're out of your comfort zone. So let's say the 3 of us are travelling and we're on a train going somewhere on a bus. We can just talk to the 3 of us because we're all mates and we can have a conversation between ourselves.
Yeah.
But when you're on your own, you're like, I don't want to be lonely this if I don't initiate the conversation, because the other people on the bus are in the same boat as me. So they're not going to speak to you. They're not going to start the conversation. So you just end up doing it. And I remember because I was in Madrid and I was flying out to Madrid. Stupid, really. So what happened was I said to the fella in the hotel, so I had a night in Madrid and then I was flying out to Madrid the next day. So I said, "Do you match on tonight?" I got Atletico Madrid, all Real Madrid. And he went, "Ain't it the derby?" This was the concierge fella. So I went, "Oh, brilliant." I said, "Do you reckon I'll get a ticket?" He went, "Go to Bernabeu now and you'll get a ticket." So I went, "That's mad. Like, you wouldn't get a ticket for the Liverpool-Everton derby. Like, it's today actually, innit? But you wouldn't get a ticket for that today." Went to ground, no one's there. Got a ticket, dead easy. Went, "Where do you want to be?" Halfway line, second tier up. Like, this was brilliant. So then goes out in Madrid. I'm just out in the night on my own, walking around. So I'm like, I'm going to go to an Irish bar because you'll find like a friendly face in an Irish bar, surely. And X Factor was on. And I think Louis Walsh had said something, and I just went like, he's a dickhead in, but like loud enough where someone could hear me to have a conversation with me. And that was like my little go-to. So then I started talking about the match. And I went, "I'm going to go to the match later." And he went, "What match?" So I said, "Real Madrid, not Atletico Madrid." He went, "Let me see a ticket." I went, "It's tomorrow." So I bought a ticket for the next day when my flight was in the morning.
Oh, shit.
So I couldn't even go to the match type of thing. But I was just like, at that feeling of anxiety and like I'm uncomfortable because I'm on my own. What do I do here? And you're second guessing yourself in your head. You're like, do I start the conversation? Do I not? Are they going to look at me like I'm a knob? Are they not going to speak to me? But I think once you realise, like, so what if they do? Do you know, it's not a big deal. So yeah, I don't know, mate. I think certain instances, certain circumstances will make you confident. It'll grow.
I met a fella in Oslo in America, and it turns out he played for Miami FC, the youth team or something. So went to watch him play. Like you're saying, I would never do this. Didn't even know the man. Went to watch him play, and then I was stuck there at the game and didn't know how to get back. Can't phone taxis, didn't have a number, and my flight's in like 3 hours. So like figured it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ended up making it, but you do new things, don't you?
Boss, mate. Yeah, I love anything like that now. Like if I'm in, like we get to travel with the business, which is nice. So one of our favourite things for me and Sean is we travelled around North America. We went to Hong Kong last year. We done a certification there, and you just end up in these random places where it's boss, mate. Yeah, it is. It's
something
brilliant,
that's
really.
able to take you.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about the concept. Tell us how it first started, how it come about.
Okay, so basically what happened was lived in Spain till I was 18, travelled a bit, and then the bar was around the session time. So around like, I think it must have been about 2009, something like that. So the bar just wasn't doing well. It done really well, then it wasn't. So I was in Malaysia at the time. So I remember this was the final time I was travelling. I ended up going to meet a girl I'd seen in Laos, met her in Malaysia, and then my dad's messaged me on Facebook. Didn't have a phone or nothing while I was travelling, but I log into Facebook and my dad's messaged me going, "Lad, phone me when you can." Phoned him and he's gone, "We're moving on, just so you know when you get back." I was like, fucking hell, we'd lived there for years, never ever talked about moving on, but it's just obviously something they decided in the months I was away. So anyway, moved on. But while I was in Malaysia, just before I got the flight back, I was like, what am I going to do here? And even that last time travelling, I was thinking, I need a career. I was actually going to buy a bar in Laos with the lad who I was mates with, because he had an Irish bar. I was like, we'll buy a
so
second
the safety net
Irish
had
bar.
gone for you, if you like.
Yeah, mate, it was a safety net thing, and it was just also, like, I felt like I was just wasting a little bit of my life. Even though I was having these boss experiences, it got to a point where going out drinking of a day, you know, have a laugh or whatever, but then it's the same again.
Long,
yeah, mate, it's like anything. I think in life you need contrast. And if you're just getting too much of one thing like you love a steak sometimes if you haven't had one, but you don't want it every single day, or like,
of course,
whatever, you know what I mean? Like a drink if you drink. So for me, it got to a point where I'm not really enjoying this anymore, and I need a career. I need something to, like, I don't know, to really motivate me to do something with my life.
Focus your energy.
Focus my energy. So I picked up a magazine, and it was Men's Health. And again, it's like 11 years ago or so, 10 years ago. And it was talking about being a personal trainer. And I'd always been into fitness. So from football, I was quick. I was always the quickest in the team, but I was the skinniest no matter where I played. So I was always trying to, like, find out ways. I'd always been into training. I'd always been in the weight room and stuff. And I thought, you know what? Yeah, I think I'd love to be a personal trainer. So I come home, done that course. Quite quickly, didn't want to be in England because I'd lived away and all that. And I was working in a DW. And in the DW, it was just like, you walk the gym floor, do you want personal training? Like, you're trying to talk. And it wasn't like now loads of people have got PTs and loads of people are PTs. But back then, it was sort of unheard of. No one was really doing it.
Everyone's a PT now.
Everyone's a PT now, mate. Yeah, you know, and there's good and bad like anything. But I wanted to go back to Spain. So in the end, my mum's a yoga teacher. We decided, look, we'll go back. We'll start a retreat. So we started a retreat and we had that for a few years where we get people over, they'd stay with us for a week, 2 weeks. Take them on like hikes up the mountains, doing circuits on the beach, all the rest of it.
Yoga too?
Yoga too as well, mate. Yeah, so she'd do the yoga and went over with me missus as well, Beth. And she'd do the camps with me, and then my mum was a boss cook, so she'd do all the food. But then people were losing a lot of weight, mate. Like it was great because obviously I'd be doing the macros with my mum and stuff and the portion sizes. So it ended up being great, mate. Like I really, really enjoyed it. But I had a client. So while I do the boot camps where people come and stay with us, I'd also do like one-on-one PTs of people in the area and just local boot camps and stuff. And this one time, this guy, John, turned up and when you just know someone like knows a thing or two, he just seemed like an interesting guy. So he said, can I do some PT with you properly? I went, sound, yeah. So ended up meeting him on the beach. And within the first 10 minutes, we're just warming up. He's got a stick and started doing like cash flow diagrams, asset and liability columns in the sand. I'm like, what are we doing? We're just just about to do our warm-up here. And we just stopped training and he just started telling me about business and life and all the rest of it. And he said, Key, what you're doing is great, don't get me wrong. It goes back to what we were saying before about your time. And he said, you're never gonna make it the way you want to make it if you're only on like an hourly wage or like you're only charging people for your time. So there's 24 hours in a day. I said, well, what do you mean, John? He said, you need to build a brand or a product or something that earns you money while you sleep, essentially. So it got me thinking. He said, get these 2 books. He said, go and get these 2 books off Amazon tonight. And it was Tim Ferriss, The 4-Hour Work Week. And it was Robert Kiyosaki, Unfair Advantage. So Kiyosaki's book was all about leveraging debt and how you can use it to your advantage and how the rich get rich and all the rest of it. And it was interesting, don't get me wrong, but the 4-Hour Work Week was about how you basically manufacture a product from start to finish. And it was a blueprint from fulfillment, source and manufacturing, everything, advertising. I was like, do you know what, I can do this. So when I was thinking about what do I do, it's like, okay, well, what do I use on these boot camps? So I'd be using a suspension trainer, a TRX, I'd be using resistance bands, and I'd be using TheraBands for my mobility. I was like, you know what, I could just combine all them 3 modalities into one thing and make one bit of kit that does all 3. It'll be cheaper, it'll be smaller, portable, all the rest of it. And then spent like the next 9-10 months doing it, developing it. So that's sort of like where the idea was spawned, to be honest, yeah.
At this time when you're creating this, the 3-in-1, are you thinking I can't tell no one because someone will latch onto me?
Yeah and no, mate, because at the same time, you still got to tell a few people because you need a little bit of investment to get going. So the investment I got was like a couple of close family members. I had a little bit of money saved up on my dad, and we basically had enough between us to get the stock. And that was it, do you know what I mean? So just like the first batch of stock, you had to buy 1,000 units. So it was enough for 1,000 units. But it's the most
so
like...
So you develop this product, did you have to patent that then as well?
Yeah, so we went down that route. It takes time and the trademark and all the rest of it. So that's all stuff that you sort of realise after you're doing it. Like the initial thing is just, have we got something that actually works? So like some of the first prototypes I got made, mate, they'd fall apart in your hands and stuff, and you're not going out. Like I've been over and met the manufacturers now a few times and stuff, but at that time you're just speaking via email and you're taking their word for it. So you'll pay them for a sample, they'll send a sample, you'll test it out, you'll do like, you know, whatever you need to do, and then you'll go back with modifications and stuff. But then when you send over that first deposit, you're like, I've never met these people, like the full, you know what I mean? Like you send over 30%, then you'll pay the 70%. But when you send that initial 30%, it's the most nerve-wracking moment of your life, because you're like, wow, this is not just my money, this is family money as well. And these might not even be a company. They might have just made a website and, you know, they've put a few products together and run away with it. But yeah, so you're more thinking about that than getting ripped off, and like getting ripped off by someone copying it. Yep. That's the initial thought. But then obviously as you get it to market and stuff, you start thinking about that.
Oh, is it what's the unknown like where you're saying getting a patent and all that? Because people where we're from, we don't like...
Mate, that's it, Jazz, yeah. That's exactly the thing. So for that, even going back to like the manufacturing side of things and that, I was like, I'm a lad from Heighton, I would never know. Like no one I know has done that. So there's no one I can speak to at home who's done it, do you know what I mean? I think now it's great because there's like even the brand you're wearing there, Jazz, like two young lads starting a clothing brand. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But I think
shout out Monty-Rex.
yeah, brilliant. Like the stuff looks great. So, you know, stuff like that's happening more regularly. You know, I'm not saying I was, you know, one of the first or I weren't clearly, but you know, for me, it just it was scary, but it was also very exciting. So I think it was, I don't even know what you'd say percentage wise, but it was slightly tipped in my favour, excitement rather than fear. And it was enough to like, okay, I need to do this. Yeah.
So where did you go from there then? You got the product.
Yeah.
So what did you do then with it?
So the initial thing was, how do we get it out? Now, because I had some experience in the sporting world and had some contacts and stuff, end up getting to a few teams. So like Liverpool Football Club was one of my very first meetings, which was brilliant. Went in to see Jordan Milson. So my brother-in-law is now at the Rangers. So he's the head coach with Steven Gerrard. And Jordan's the S&C. He's now gone from Liverpool to Rangers. So end up getting to meet with Jordan. Showed Jordan it, loved it straight away. He's bought them in Liverpool. So straight away, Liverpool Football Club are using the product. So that's like...
You've hit the ground, right?
Yeah, but then also you think, well, okay, I'll just get into all these sports teams, but you'll only ever take like 5 or 6. They're not going to do big volume. So the business model changes along the way. So then after about 6 months, I got into all these different teams and stuff, and even like top S&C, strength and conditioning coaches, getting into them, they back it, they're like, mate, it's legit. You know, it's something we'll use, which was Boss. But then I end up touching base with Sean, as I say, my business partner. So after about 6 months, I forget now how we end up speaking again. So me and Sean, as I say, played football together in the same team. He had a YTS with Blackpool. I had one with Sam, yeah. And we just sort of lost touch. We were really close, but then we didn't speak for a while. And I'm trying to picture like what the first thing was, how we spoke. But what happened was we said, let's meet up on Lark Lane and let's just have a catch up. I think he messaged me about the product, said the product looks good. So we met on Lark Lane and we ended up having a few beers on Lark Lane. And he went, mate, I'm meant to be doing this circuit. You fancy doing it? This is how embarrassing it is. So I was meant to be this PT, being a PT for years. Had a couple of beers, goes and does a circuit with Sean. There's like 20 people in the class. I spew up in the class. So I was going to show the lads who were taking the class the product afterwards. So I was going to be like, here's my product, but I was too embarrassed then. I was like, they're going to just say, who's this?
Is this the Liverpool Yoga Studios?
No, so that comes a little bit after that, Jazz, yeah. So we end up doing some work with them as well. But so Sean come on board, and Sean come from a teaching background. So Sean had played football, but then also being a teacher. So he was like, lad, this needs some education behind it. Like, this needs a certification. I was like, you know what, mate, it does. So then we wrote the education then. So then what we do is we go into gyms and we'd certify people. So we go and train trainers basically, and that's sort of opened up like the KO8 Academy. And that's how we got to travel initially. So we'd be going to different countries and training people and stuff. And that was great for building the brand and exposing the brand a little bit further. From there, that led us to Dubai. So in 2016, we done 5 trips in the year. So we go out, we'd spend 2 weeks there, we'd come back, you know, go and do another 2 weeks. Because what was happening was we launched...
Is this training people in your...
This is training people, mate, yeah, in the product. So what happens, again, mad, so fake it till you make it. Our first ever certification, the first ever one we done, was in the Burj Khalifa. So the world's tallest building. There's got a thing called the Burj Club, which is right facing Dubai fountains. Our first ever certification was there. Which doesn't make, like, when you think about it, it's ridiculous, really. Like, you look back and you go, we didn't know what we were doing at all. But what had happened was, Sean had a contact who was the manager in the Armani Hotel, which is inside the Burj Khalifa. And he invited all the gym managers from around Dubai, like all these top people. And he said, I want to do a 2-day event for you. So he laid it out for us, mate, and we done it. And obviously we knew enough anyway to get more offers to come back. So then like Fitness First, Gold's Gym, all these big gym chains were like, come and train our trainers, come and do this. So we done that, mate, as I say, for a year. And then after that, we decided to move out. So I moved over with my missus, Sean did with his missus, his little boy at the time. Yeah, mate, and we just took the plunge and we moved to Dubai.
Wow. Do you believe in law of attraction and things like that?
100%, mate, yeah.
So how much would you put it down to? Because it's people say, well, you got lucky, you got a lot of luck with the Liverpool, with this opportunity in the Burj Khalifa. How much you put it down to actually being yourself and believing in good things will happen?
Yeah.
Look, is it you put yourself in that environment?
Yeah, it's a funny word, that, isn't it? What did he say? When preparation meets opportunity, that's luck. And I do believe that, but I do also believe the law of attraction. Like, I haven't read The Secret, and I know it's all in that, but there's been so many funny times, mate, where like, so for Sean, for example, I remember on his, because we hadn't spoke for years and years, on his Twitter bio, we had something that said health, wealth, love and happiness. And it was a guy, he's turned into a bit of a beaut, to be fair, called Ty Lopez. Don't know if you ever come across him. But at the time,
Seen him online.
have you seen him online? Like he's just, I don't know, like he's just obsessed with celebrity now, which is a bit much. But at the time, I got onto him because he was saying he reads a book a day. And I found that fascinating. And he was just like, knowledge is power and all the rest of it. And he was talking about Stoic philosophy and all these things that I become interested in. But I didn't know anyone who knew Ty Lopez. But then Sean had that on his Twitter bio, and I went to him, is that Ty Lopez? And he said, yeah, I've just done his 67 steps online course. Straight away, I was like, that's a sign of some sort to say, okay, use the same, you've got the same mentality, use it on the same path. But then even from there, mate, there's been loads of instances where I've dreamt about things or I've visualized things, like fast forward a little bit. And I remember I'd done a flotation in Spain. So we had a flotation tank place at the end of my street on my road. And I got back into Beck, and at the time we didn't have a baby or nothing, but I got into Beck and I was like, I just had a mad, like, proper visualization. She went, what was it? And I went, we were just in the jungle. So, but we're in the jungle, but we also had a sea view, and we were just happy, like, together in this place. She was like, that's mad. And then fast forward like 3-4 years, we end up living in Thailand together, and the place we were going to stay, the initial place, we got there, we landed, got with our bags, and he went, oh, it's fully booked, you're going to have to go somewhere else.
Wow,
We've got somewhere for you, don't worry. And the place we went to was in the middle of the jungle, but also had a sea view. And that ended up being our home. It ended up being our home for 12 months, mate. It was just like, whoa. So I do 100% believe in it, mate. Like it does, it's powerful, like the visualization side of it. But we've got this little WhatsApp group and this walking group that we go on. And we were talking about this actually last week, and we're saying, that's one thing, the visualization and the manifestation, but it's always got to be backed by action. Yep. You can't just sit there and go like, oh, I want to win the lottery, and then you don't win the lottery and you're pissed off. Like, you've got to visualize these things. Like I've heard you talking about it with the thingy story. What is it? The banoffee pie story.
Yeah.
Mad, crazy story, by the way. But you've obviously took action to lead that to happen. It hasn't just happened by chance.
I just wonder all the time how many good ideas people have got in their head but they're not willing to act on.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying about the law of attraction, it's okay believing in it and putting it out there, but what do you use to keep reinforcing that? What do you keep, like, to keep that belief that it's going to happen? Because I do believe in it. I think it's down to you to. Yeah,
I just don't think you can focus on it too much. I think you put that energy out there, but at the same time, you've still got to go about your day. You've still got to do the right things to make it happen. You've got to back yourself, I think, ultimately.
It does work. Like, there's like things I might have asked for years ago, which now I wouldn't really want, or I'm not that bothered about, but like 5 years ago I might have really wanted it. And then it's just there now. And I haven't realised it's there.
Yeah.
But it's something I really wanted.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
I looked at my vision board 2 nights ago, and things what were on it have now come true.
Podcast with John,
and I haven't looked at it 50 years ago, Podcast with John May. Well, that was the only thing on my vision board, actually, It's mad, it is.
Yeah. I journal a lot, me, as well, so I write a lot. Like, of a night I use a thing called Evernote and write down about my day, and I'd
love to do all these things. It's like, I can't keep still. I'd love to write a journal and show gratitude at night, and like get up at 5 o'clock in the morning when the world's asleep, and I just can't seem to get in.
Do you know what it is, John? Right, and I think there's so much made of that recently. Again, it's another conversation I was having recently with my mate Fitz. Shout out Baby A on Dale Street, top place.
Shout out Baby A.
Baby A. So we were talking about this yesterday, and it was like everyone's now on this whole get up at 5 a.m. But the most important thing to your health, and this is fact-based, this guy called Matthew Walker, who's a sleep expert, like sleep is the most important thing to your health, to your mental state, to everything. So if you're going to bed quite late because you have to, you might have kids or whatever else, and you're getting up at 5 a.m. because you feel like you have to, you're doing yourself a disservice. So like I wouldn't put too much on it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's a popular thing at the minute, innit? And I think there's value to it, but if it doesn't fit into your lifestyle, mate, don't worry about it.
No, but I know about getting up early. I mean, obviously you go to bed earlier, but I just like the idea of the world being asleep and I'm up and I can get loads of things done.
Well, that's a big one for Thailand for me. So it was quite hard actually, because business-wise, we took a big leap on it when I went to Thailand, because talking about like saying no to things. So while we were in Dubai a lot of times, not just Dubai, but even had to fly home to the UK for meetings and stuff, and I'd always say yeah to something. Like I'd always say yeah to the meeting because you never knew what it could lead to.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, you start saying no to everything. But while I was in Dubai, I was getting up early. So, well, not super early, but you're 7 hours ahead of the UK and you're 4 hours ahead of Dubai. Yeah. So I'd get up, I'd meditate first, like 10 minutes at first, then it'd lead to like an hour. You know, me and my girl would meditate. Then I'd go and do a 2-hour Muay Thai class. Then I'd come back and start work while I'm having my breakfast. But I'm still, 4 or 5 hours ahead of the UK, and I'm still ahead of Dubai.
Nice,
so I had that time, mate, to get ahead of the game. And
That's
then
interesting, that.
made it brilliant, honestly. So, and I work late anyway. So even now, like, when my bear goes to bed with the baby, I'll still sit up and work because it's nice and quiet.
You're forced to balance your time.
Oh, brilliant.
That's really good. That's a good position to be in.
It was, mate. So it was a difficult thing now because Sean is, obviously I speak to Sean every day and our operations are mainly out of Dubai. So as soon as I'm waking up in the morning now, they've been up for hours, so I'm getting peppered with WhatsApps and emails and all the rest of it. So like I haven't got that time now to like get me, you know what I mean, me meditation and all whatever. As much, there's always time, mate. I can make time. I think that's an excuse. But just going back to even the journaling, like you're saying with the manifestation and stuff. I look back, not often, but, I was doing it over Christmas because it's around that time you do reflect a little bit, don't you? And I look back at the things I'd wrote in like 2017, 2018, and they've all come true practically, And but then you never see it as like, okay, well, I've cracked it now. There's always something else, that's the game.
Of course,
innit?
About the things you said there, because we skim over a lot of things because it's just words, but what does the meditation, you said the 10 minutes of meditation which leads to now, what's that doing for you and your partner every day?
It was just, it's different to every person, mate. So for me, I think I was sort of confused what meditation is, and I'm not the expert on meditation, by the way. It can be anything to anyone, but for me, it just sort of centered my mind and made me realise what was important and what wasn't important. Like at the time, I'd strip loads back in Dubai, so in Thailand rather, so I just wasn't bothered about anything if it weren't like health related or work related, and that was basically it. But it was comforting as well. Don't get me wrong.
Is meditation a big part of your life now?
Not as much as it was, John, and I think I need to get it back into my life. But I'd also do little mantras and stuff, which a lot of people don't do in meditation. So I think meditation for a lot of people is taking time to just take all the distractions out of your life and let the thoughts come in, because people think meditation is like you empty your mind of thoughts. That's never ever going to happen. Thoughts will constantly enter. Let them enter, but address them in the right way where you've got the frame of mind to address them.
I didn't understand what meditating was, and I was on a walk once, and I thought walking's my meditation. That's what
It's
I
a
thought
form
at
of
the
it,
time.
mate, it can be.
But then I realised, well, no, I'm walking, I'm thinking, I'm blah, 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 I'm doing this. And then I realised, like, everything's an action.
You're doing a lot.
Yeah, everything. So I'm not taking time out. And what I realised, I had this thing in my head, it's like, well, meditation is you write words, and you've got a word's an action, and in between a word, there's no action, but it's a space, but it's still something, it's a space between words. And I thought that's where meditation is. It's going to that place. So I tried it once. I thought, because I can't keep still. I can't. And so it's important for me to do it. And I know it benefits me, but I don't do it nowhere near enough. So what I realised was, so I sat there for 5 minutes, I put my phone on airplane mode, and I set a timer for 5 minutes, and I tried it. And I breathed. I concentrated on your septum. And every time a thought did come into my head, I knocked it out. And I just went back to there. And I come out of it, I was like, wow. And it done me the world of good.
It was me, yeah.
But what I quite got into meditation. I mean, I learned, because people do guided meditation. They do this, they do that, they do this. But that worked for me. So my brain doesn't stop. It's literally like, I think of it, because is it your frontal cortex, is it?
Don't know enough about the brain.
So you've got,
itself,
I think
mate,
it's your
to be
frontal
fair.
cortex, and that's like sort of what keeps everything in order. But because you've got different parts of your brain, which have got different jobs, if they're chattering all the time, my head's just like, and I get overwhelmed. So think of your brain as a classroom, right? And and you've got a teacher, which is the frontal cortex, and that's what keeps everything in order. But this teacher's lost fucking control. And all the other part of your brain is shouting and screaming and shouting over each other. And she hasn't got a fucking clue what's going on. So if you take all them away and just give the teacher a break and just let her have air time, which is the frontal bit, when it comes back and the kids come into the class, she's got order again. And I think that's what happens to your brain.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, definitely.
That's my interpretation of what meditation is. It's just giving that.
Yeah, we've got a constant chatter going on. We've got it's a funny thing, isn't it? Like there's a guy called Sam Harris. He's got a guided meditation app. I'm personally not into the guided meditation. I think it takes away from what you're meant to be doing personally.
I had a night terror with one. I had one on once, and I woke up to it, and I was fucking petrified. It was weird. It infused with a dream, and this person was speaking to me on the telly. It's horrible. I won't ever do it again.
But this Sam Harris, and I'm taking nothing away from anyone who does the guided meditation, because as I say, it's not for me, but it can be for some people. But there's a guy called Sam Harris, and he wrote a book called Waking Up. And in Waking Up, he talks about, let's say we went to, I don't know, Costa Coffee or Starbucks or somewhere now, and I left my glasses on the table. If I walked out and then walked back in and went, oh, there they are, but like audibly said it, no one would think he's weird. That's it. Like if you left your cap there, John, and come, oh, there's my cap.
Yeah.
But then if you carried on walking out saying, oh, now I'm going to be late for the meeting, and she hates when I'm late for the meeting, and I might get the sack, and you were actually saying it, people will go, he's fucking round the bend. But that's what we're doing constantly. We're having this internal dialogue. God, but who are we speaking to?
So
There's no one else there.
Why does it work when you say there they are, but not when you say here I am?
It's just, I think it's what's culturally acceptable. It's not like, we just all go, wouldn't we? He's not the full shilling him. Like, what's he doing? Because you would, wouldn't you? But that's what's going on. Basically, all the time, constantly.
Me and my mate used to go and do this game. We used to play this game where we play social acceptance. So someone would be walking past, we go, well, slow down. And he'd just slow down.
That's it, yeah.
Let me tell you the story. I went to London for an audition, right? So they're mostly in Soho. So I get off at Euston, I walk down, I go down Tottenham Court Road. And I needed the toilet. So I was walking down Tottenham Court Road. Oh, where's a pub? So where is this pub? I had a piss. And then I come out. And like at this point I thought, I better start looking where I'm going. So I got my phone and maps and went, I said it out loud. So, right, where am I going? Like that, and I went, is it only up there? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
And I looked, I swear to God, about like from where you are to me, right? There was this woman looking at me. And I looked, and she was looking at me up and down like that. Like with disgust. Oh, this fucking freak's fucking looking, talking to himself. Do you know who it was? Fucking Katie Hopkins. You know Katie Hopkins, the fucking...
Yeah, the one who said all the mad stuff.
It was
yeah,
him. I was like... And I just wish I could go back in time because there's so much I wanted to say, sir. But it's just a weird story when I got caught out talking to myself.
It is, and I think it's something we constantly do. And for me, like, you know, you'd even meditate on more, but it sounds more, but like meditating on death, it comes from like a samurai philosophy in Japan, and what they do is meditate on death, and it was just basically giving you the idea of, well, tomorrow's not promised, so you know, make sure you maximize your day. And when I do that, it makes me more conscious of things like, let's say, road rage, you know, because someone cut you up on the road or whatever, and it's mad in Thailand. So I didn't know. Over there, when someone flashes you, it doesn't mean they're letting you go. It means get the fuck out the way. So I didn't know that at first. So when I'm pulling out, there's a big lorry coming at me, flashing its light, and I think it's letting me go, but it's speeding up. What's going on? It's nearly fucking come into me. So little things like that where you go, okay, this person doesn't know me. I'll never see this person again. Why am I wasting energy and mental thoughts and exhausting myself with anger over something that's so trivial and doesn't matter? Yeah. There's a famous quote, a guy called Søren Kierkegaard, and he was a philosopher, Danish philosopher in the 1800s, and he says, people are tranquilized by the trivial. And I think it's so true. Like, you know, we're distracted constantly. We seek out distraction. And I think it goes back to like now. We live in an age where there's so much information and education at our fingertips. We can literally learn and be and do whatever we want. But on the flip side, we've never been more distracted. Yeah. So it's hard, isn't it? It's that catch-22 of like, I want to just fucking absorb all this info, but do I have the discipline to filter out all the distraction of social media, whatever else is going on? And it's hard.
I'm finding speaking to you very inspiring, but very frustrating at the same time.
Go on, so let's speak on that.
It's like, because all the stuff you're saying, like, okay, well, life, we can have what we want in life. It's like, if I want to make a cake, I'll go on the BBC website and look up a recipe for a cake, and then it's up to me to go out and get the ingredients and then make the cake.
Yeah.
And we can do that with anything in our lives. And I know this.
But you're doing it though, John. You're saying you're frustrated, but you're also very much doing it, mate. You've
not in all aspects of my life.
But no, I don't think, like, I'm not talking from a point of preaching where I'm doing all this, by the way. I'm just as, you know.
Yeah,
I'm a culprit just like anyone else.
The frustration's coming from, why aren't you doing this, John? You know to do it, but it's just this consistency, and it's being able to, it's the distractions. Yeah. I'll get up in the morning. First thing I'll do is check my phone at 9 o'clock in the morning when I get up, or whatever, and then it's fucking 12 o'clock. I'm just wasting all the time. I could have read a book.
Yeah, it's habitual, though, John, isn't it? It's something like habits, like addiction, like anything like that. Your phone's an addiction.
It is
100%. It's like, but that's if that's what you're used to do. It's like anything. If you cut coffee out or cut sugar out or booze or whatever, there's gonna be a period where it's so difficult and it's so hard, but then it becomes your norm. Like then it'll become part of your life where you get up in the morning. That was again going back to Thailand. I get up in the morning. I wouldn't look at my phone for an hour because I go and meditate. I get a glass of water, whatever. Check my phone before I go and do my Muay Thai class. I don't do that now.
Yeah.
I wish I did, but I don't. You know,
spoke about this last night.
Yeah,
we said about maybe setting an alarm on Alexa to say get off your phone. Because like I've been off work. The shop's been shut for 6 weeks. The world stood still for 6 weeks. This is an opportunity to have achieved and maybe done things that I wouldn't have a chance to do and maybe get things done. And I look back yesterday and thought, what have I actually achieved in that 6 weeks? Do you know what I mean? And I don't know.
I feel like you're being a bit hard on yourself, mate, really, because...
No, but this is the frustration.
Yeah.
It's like I should have utilised this time.
Yeah, okay. But what you have done, not to blow smoke, but you've done a lot more than a lot of people, mate. Cause
yeah, I suppose.
I think that's one thing I was excited to speak to you both about, because I feel like, I don't want to use these terms, but some people won the pandemic, some people won lockdown. I feel like you won lockdown because you've just gone, okay, I haven't got the distraction maybe at the shop, I haven't got the distraction of other things, going to your castings and whatever else I imagine. Yeah. So now I can just focus on these characters that I'm building. And look what it's done, mate. It's give so many people so much joy, but I suppose opportunity-wise as well, it's give you, you know, probably a revenue stream. You're doing something, you're doing this, you know what I mean? You're doing so many different things because of it. And same with yourself, Jazz. Like, I feel like you took yourself somewhere else, what people weren't willing to do. You were willing to sacrifice where other people weren't.
I faced my darkest fear, mate, which was compulsive overeating. I started the program, joined the AA program, not AA, Overeaters Anonymous program, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. The first night without what I thought was distraction. I went, I caught it clean for the first night, and I had the pain. It was just all over me. I never felt like that before. The food, like it was compulsive overeating. But I thought, I'm not going into this pandemic, no way, I'm coming out a better person, because whilst time stands still, I'm gonna keep abusing myself. Don't know what it was. It was a good flick for me. It was a good switch. Did you get?
Mate, I was. I don't know. It was the reset button I think we all needed, or a lot of us needed, and I think some people took it the other way. And don't get me wrong, mate, I'm taking nothing away from people who are struggling, because it's took away people's livelihoods. And I was speaking to a couple of people about this, where, you know, if you go bankrupt, but you've exhausted every option, you've tried everything, and it just hasn't worked for whatever reason, it wasn't the right time or it wasn't the right business, I think it's easier to understand. But if the government tell you can't open your business and that's why you go bankrupt, that's a tough pill to swallow, and that's a lot of people are facing that. So, as I say, I'm taking nothing away from it, but for us, mate, we sell our products into gyms. That's a big market for us, but it's also like the bigger market for us is selling to people's homes now. So that's where our business model changed over years. We sell to people who can train at home. We've got an app where they can use that KO8 on demand. So we want to make fitness as accessible to anyone, basically, worldwide, and that's what happened. So the pandemic happened, and our sales went through the roof because it's a fitness at home product and people needed to train. So we were using that to our advantage, but it gave me the space and the time to spend more time with my girl, with my daughter. You know, we were going on more walks and stuff, and yeah, mate, I used it to my advantage, but I was also in whether you use luck or whatever, I was in a nice position where, you know, I didn't have to worry about paying bills and stuff like that. So I suppose it's all well and good having this, like, oh, well, I'll look at it from a philosophical standpoint, but you don't have to worry about your money where a lot of people do, you know.
That's what it was like for me. I just, the world stood still. I got off the hamster wheel and it was a fucking boss break, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed lockdown. I'm enjoying it now even, do you know what I mean? I'm still enjoying it, yeah. There is a little, it's sad, and I hope my staff don't watch this, but there's okay, so when the world stood still, like when I went back to work, I felt a bit of an anxiety, and it was like, is this what I feel like all the time when I was in work? And it wasn't until I had a break from it. So I refused to allow myself to feel that way again. So I did learn from that. But then with this lockdown, it's like, I know my business is shut, but there is a little part of me, it's like, I don't know, I don't want lockdown to end.
Yeah, mate,
I know that's bad.
Like that.
And people are like, well, you fucking showed off. But personally, I enjoy the break. I like the break.
I done a video before, and when we went to first lockdown, I knew only the creator will survive a sale on a video. And when you're saying about paying bills and stuff like that, people haven't got that financial worry. I went into it with them worries, and now I'm doing better than I've ever done. Yeah. So I know for a fact that I'm not.
You've got to back yourself, Jazz, haven't you? Sorry to cut you off, mate. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I was like set financially, not by any means, but what I mean was like, it wasn't like my business had been took off me.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the only thing I had to rely on now was the government, so it was a bit of a different situation, but I'm totally with you, mate. I think if you use that time, because I was saying to like, even to mates and people who I was close to, like, use this time to do the things you said you were going to do. Like there's another famous quote by Confucius, and he says, man has 2 lives and the second begins when he realizes he's only got one. And like, this is the time to realize you've only got one. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't stop living in future terms of happiness. Stop saying like, I'll be happy next year when I do this and I do. Yeah. No, mate, do it now.
We do put a thing on that, don't we? Like, I'll be happy when I achieve my goal. Yeah. I was living in boxing for years saying, when I'm world champion, I'll be happy. But when I'm world champion, it's not today, you know what I mean? So I might not being happy today, in the future hopes that I will be. You know what I mean? Man, innit? Do you put a goal on? Do you live today? Or?
Mate, I try to, Jazz. But again, mate, I'm talking all this now, but it's not like I do it every day. No, there's times where I hate procrastination and I'll do it. And I feel like I'm hungover sometimes when I do it. So say like
You do procrastinate?
Sometimes, mate, yeah, sometimes. And it's something that makes me feel like I've been out on a bender. Because I'll sit there at the end of the night and go, fucking hell, I had loads of things to do today and I haven't got to the things I wanted to get to. Doesn't happen all the time, but then I feel sick. And that sickness is a feeling I don't want to feel tomorrow. So I get up in the morning and make sure I am not doing that procrastination tomorrow.
I think I procrastinate. I think... God, we're going a bit deep here, aren't we? When we spoke about
let's go there, yeah.
I know it's like, I think I procrastinate. I think it's like a form of self-harm. It's like there's these little tasks, so easy to do. It's a phone call, it's this, it's that. And I don't do it. Do you know how I live my life? It's like, I could have OCD, right? So the people with OCD, they don't feel satisfied unless they're satisfied. Do you know what I mean? So, and if they're not satisfied, they live in a pain. I believe that's where I live. In that space, in between. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like it's a constant pain because I'm not, and it's like that's where I think I belong. So these little tasks, whether it's do the dishes, if my dishes aren't done, it causes me pain.
There's a question for you, John, because I know a lot of comedy comes from a place of pain, doesn't it? Like a lot of famous comedians have had struggles, haven't they? And they say like that darkness has led them to sort of like project that as a form of comedy, maybe as like a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I think you look at Robin Williams and you look at comedians and they're all got troubled lives. I mean, I believe I'm very self-aware. I'm very transparent and mentally I'm completely fine, I believe. But then I think what happens is, I think there's a time in your life where people do wear a mask. They constantly wear a mask, and that's where a lot of comedy comes from. And they use that as a defense mechanism in order to achieve whatever they need to achieve. But then I think they're like, well, you don't know, you look at Jim Carrey, you look at all these people, and they've all had problems. And I think that's where people learn to be funny as well. But I like to think I don't wear a mask. I mean, I'm being pretty transparent and honest here. But because of the time I did wear a mask, that's when I learned to be funny. That's when I learned how to people respond and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's definitely linked.
Yeah. And going back to what we were saying just previously about the imposter syndrome, that I think a lot of us feel like even when you get a little bit of success, then you go and do something that'll harm you. Like you'll self-inflict something, like say you'll go and get some food, or you'll go and get on the aisle if it's someone else. Like so many different things that because we're not worthy of this. Have they made a mistake? Did you have this going on when you started being successful? When success came? Yeah, do you know what it was for me, mate? It was a bit of a switch, and I think I went to one of my very first meetings, and it was down in Portsmouth, and the guy was just an arsehole, to be completely honest. Went in there, he was an older guy, and he was just talking down to me, and he just bought this company. I won't go into the company's name, but he had all his staff there, and it was like he was just trying to impress his staff, and he was trying to belittle me, basically. I was only like 25 or something at the time. No, I must have been a bit old, about 27. But I walked out of that meeting, I was like, fucking hell, what was that? Do you know, like he was just telling me what he was doing and what I weren't doing and blah, blah. And I was like, I don't even know him. And in the end, we didn't do anything with them, and they didn't really do much themselves anyway, like from all accounts, if I look back. But then I started to realise, like, this is all a game. This is the game of life. Like, everyone's playing a role within this game. So there's no reason to be anxious. Don't get me wrong, I'd be a little bit nervous before coming on here. Still get anxiety, you still get a little bit of nerves. But once you realise, like, he's a person who's probably got the same worries, the same issues as me, maybe a little bit different, but he's not perfect. He doesn't got all the answers. As long as I've got my answers and I back myself, like I know the ins and outs of my product and what we do, and I feel like we're the best at it, So I'll walk into any meeting now and feel confident. And if it doesn't go well, there'll be another meeting. Goes back to that like delayed gratification. I think when you're younger, or maybe even some people still feel this way now, they'll put so much energy and gravitas on a certain, meeting, or this is everything to me. And if it doesn't go well, then your life crumbles before your eyes. But it's like, that's not life, mate. There's going to be other opportunities. Like, there's another thing, isn't it, what a lot of people say, where, if I knew then what I know now, I'd be different. You might not be, though, because you mightn't have been ready for that knowledge. You mightn't have been able to make that knowledge actionable. So I feel like that, with myself, once I know it's a game, and even be around wealthy people. So when I was in Spain, to say I was training quite a lot of wealthy clients. I didn't have money myself. I was skimp, but they all have money. So I go, like one guy, a German guy, this is where like people's problems are different. He wanted me to make his hips more mobile so we could get into his classic Porsche and drive around Italy with his beard. He was like 30 years younger than him. But then when we train, he's got family problems and woman problems and all. He's got problems the same as everyone else has got problems. Yeah. He's no better than anyone else. He's just being successful at business.
Your perception of what he lives like and your perspective from his point of view, two different things, aren't they? Because now you realise whether I'm successful or a failure, I've got worries either end, haven't I?
100%, mate. I think there's a guy as well, Naval Ravikant, who's I've been following for a while, makes things into like very bite-sized, digestible things. And he says, like, again, going back to the game of life, there's many games in life, but if you can complete 2 games, the 2 arguably the most important games, the financial game, because no matter if you're just, meditating all day or, you're studying, you're reading things or whatever, you still need money at the end of the day. We still got to pay for things. We still got rent and whatever else. You still need, it's essentially freedom, isn't it? Money. So try and complete the financial game as soon as you can. And then try and complete the love game. Try and find someone. If you want to be a partner, you want to have kids with them, whatever, you'll be happy and you'll be settled, because until you complete those 2 games, they're going to be the most complicated part of your life, probably. Do you know what I mean? So, like, I think when you think in those terms, then the other aspects of your life, you can think about where do I want to live? What do I want to do creatively? Like, what do I want to research and study and all the rest of it? But it's not that easy, but that's, I think, in a bite-sized way, complete them games, mate, you'll be on your way to happiness.
I've loved this.
Now, where are we with moving forward with the KO8?
Don't worry, mate. No, it doesn't have to be about KO8. So, yeah, from the gym standpoint, the guy's doing really well in Dubai. I've just got back from there recently. So, we're based in Dubai Marina. The gym's doing really well. All the concept of the gym is around the product. So, we've got like KO8 Combat, which will be, KO8 with some boxing involved and Muay Thai. I've got a great Muay Thai coach I'm in, Tunisian champion. Got a boxing coach now, Laith, who's, do you know Laith? Yeah, Laith's a good lad. So Laith's our head boxing coach over there. Sean, Steph, all the guys, Anisha. Ethan, who's just come over. So Ethan had his own gym in Liverpool. We've got him now over there with us. He's our gym manager. That's doing really well.
Some team, haven't you?
Got a strong team, mate.
You want a little funny fella on reception, do you?
Let's do it.
In Dubai now, any?
So that side of things good, mate. But the main thing is the product and the brand itself. Just building the brand, and as I say, the product is always backed by the education and the content. So we're constantly getting trainers from around the world to film a series. So on KO8 The Man now, you'll get yoga, you'll get it could be anything from strength programs where it's more like traditional strength. There'll be HIIT workouts. We're filming with a Pilates girl now because it's so well versed, the product. You can do literally anything with it. Do you know what I mean? So like, it was funny. So this, I don't watch Strictly Come Dancing and all that, but there's a girl called Christina. She's married to Ben, what's his name? Don't watch rugby either. She's married to a famous rugby player anyway. Sounds bad, that, but the lovely people. So I went down to Northampton with Ethan Woodruff. So we drove down to Northampton. We met them and we were filming in their studio. They just opened the gym, but it was all yoga based and dance based. So as we went in there, they've got like 10 KO8 set up in this room, and there was girls in there to take part in the video. So they were like, well, how long have you been into yoga, to me? And I went, oh, I'm not. And they went, we've got a yoga product. And I was like, no, it's not a yoga product. And like, what, you can do other things besides yoga?
Okay, yeah. I use it. I'm a professional boxer. Yeah,
so talking about the perception, their perception of a KO8 was, this is what we do with yoga, and it's only about yoga. Okay. And I was like, no, I don't do yoga. Like, this is just her interpretation of it.
That's interesting. What's it like seeing your thing set up like that? You're telling the wall. What's it like seeing that?
Mate, it's cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's not something like, I imagine with both of yourselves, like even speaking to you is about really humble people. I like to think I am myself, and I don't really spend too much time thinking like, oh, it's there or there's. you know, it was cool to see it in the ring. Like we do some work with MTK. I know your management team, Jazz, we do some great work with them.
Shout out MTK.
Shout out MTK, big time. So seeing the Michael Conlon fight, I went over with Chrissy Foy. Did you know Chris? Chris is from town himself, but he's a fighter, MMA based and does jiu-jitsu and all that. But we went over to Belfast to watch the fight, and it was in the ring there and stuff. So that was cool. It was on Sky Sports and things. So, you know, seeing stuff like that is brilliant, mate. But you can't rest on it. I remember listening to he was the guy. It was Mark Ronson. So Mark Ronson, the producer, he like does Amy Winehouse and all that. And he was talking to a mate of his, and he said he just won the Grammy for Song of the Year. I think it was a Bruno Mars song. And he said, wow, like that's the pinnacle. That's like, if you're a musician or a producer, that's the top. You don't get no better than winning the Grammy for Song of the Year. And he said, how long did that last? And he said, about 18 hours before I wanted to get back in the studio and do something else. It's like, that's how you feel, mate, isn't it? It is scary, to be fair, yeah.
I've made it, and that's that. Are you scared? I don't know.
Well, how do you think with yourselves? Like winning a world title, do you feel like that'll be you content, or?
Scared to think, because when I win a world title, when I do in a few weeks, it's gonna be like, what's my goal now? So have you achieved your goals? Would you say?
Yeah, but I've achieved goals from years ago, and then the goals change. So
I was going to ask a question. So what happens once you achieve your goal?
What is your long-term goal?
Long-term goal for me is build a brand, make it a household name, the same way like a Nike could be a household name. And I think that it can be done. Do you know what I mean? I think it really can.
Once you hit that target, say like for me, when you get that world title, what then? Would you just create more? Keep better ones?
I don't, honestly, mate, I don't know. It's such an interesting question, isn't it? It's a really deep question. Like, do you go and retire somewhere? Do you go back? Like, I'm a simple man in many ways. Like, I know what I like. I enjoy training. I enjoy eating well. I enjoy spending time with my daughter and my partner and my family. And, you know, I love to travel and things. So I do believe that I could do that quite happily, but I would always get that itch of, I want to be tested. Like, even, I enjoy lockdown, but then I've enjoyed going back to Dubai because there was meetings going on and there was different things, and it keeps you ticking over.
We get older, don't we? And we change and we evolve. And then I think our goals become different, don't they? Because we realise what's important then. Because you might make loads of money, but you don't get the buzz out of money anymore. So what's the point in that, chasing that buzz? So I think as we get older, our little buzzes change, don't they?
Yeah, I think it's knowing that, like, because again, there's loads of people, mate, who are really wealthy and not happy.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're so intelligent, if you're that intelligent to make all this money, why aren't you intelligent enough to be happy? Like, that's a form of intelligence. No, like, no one went to shut off that, like, that primal desire of, I need to be more money and more power and everything else. Like, it's a very primal thing, isn't it, that we feel as men? But, you know, I think it's important. If you can ever get that, I'm not there yet, don't get me wrong, but I think when you get there, if we all get there collectively, then turn that off now.
When I get that age to want more, I feel like I'm inverting inside myself. I feel like dirty. It's like I'm not a nice feeling. It's like more in it. Give me. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel. When you succeed, you can go.
I think I've learned that lesson. Like I mentioned to you before, it's like when I find myself becoming successful, I started setting my limitations. Then I don't think that works with me anymore.
You get options, don't you? When you reach success, to now use it to give, or you use it to take more, don't you?
Yeah.
I always ask myself, what am I doing with my success? Well,
that's, I mean, for you, I know you do a lot of volunteer work and stuff, Jazz. So, like, is that something you'd like to go into maybe after boxing? Would you go into coaching where you can bring the next crop of boxers up, or?
Well, at the minute, we're on a project where families of addiction who've been separated through addiction can now come together and join and spend time together to reunite their relationship together.
Amazing.
Through boxing and other avenues, you know what I mean? Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do with my success now, but you can go so selfish, can't you? You can end up sabotaging yourself by wanting more.
Yeah.
More.
It's hard, isn't it? Like, I don't think there's any such thing as a selfless act. There's always a give and take of energy, isn't it? Like, when you do something really good, like, so even for yourself, John, like, you've given so many people, mate, good times over the last, you know, when did you start? 12 months ago? I know you've been doing it for years and years, but I mean, like, when it's really blew up recently on Instagram with the characters, like, that gives so many people, like, the amount of people who message me or I'll message them, lad, he's just released one, get on it. Like, it's hilarious. Like, it's like me and my dad in the car before watching the latest one. Like, it's brilliant. But then you're also, it's a form of trade, isn't it? You're trading them laughs for success in your own right, because you're going to get opportunities because of it.
Yeah, well, hopefully. But I think the reason why I do it is I enjoy it. And I think that's something I've learned as well. Like when I first started barbering, I didn't care about success. I enjoyed it, and with that come custom, because it resonated with them. They see, do you know what I mean? And it's the same with this, and I'm doing something I enjoy. It's getting a good response. But yeah,
I do think purpose is so important. Purpose.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's the key. I think that's a big thing. You know, people talk about the pursuit of happiness. It's the pursuit of purpose. Because what's happiness? Happiness can be fleeting. It is fleeting. You need contrast. You need sadness to achieve happiness. It can't just be happiness.
Dualities.
It doesn't exist. It's got to be dualities.
yeah, man. Can you see my face? Can you see me holding back? Thinking this isn't your
Let
podcast,
it go, John. Let it go.
Yeah, so
As I say, I will come in. I was like, I want to interview you too.
I love this.
No, good mate.
It's my favourite one.
so someone's coming to Dubai. When people come to Dubai, what are they going to expect?
From KO8,
Yeah.
It's high energy, mate. It's what we've tried to do is just step the game up. We don't, even with the product, we don't ever want to sort of be pigeonholed into a corner and say, yours are just similar to them. We want to make it totally different. So you go in there, mate, and it's like a nightclub vibe, to be fair. Like we put the blinds down, we've got really cool lights, the floors are made. We believe in barefoot training. So we've got these tatami mats that are amazing for your feet, for your proprioception and all that. And like just, we spend so much time with the coaches themselves, making sure they know what they're doing. And we also want that like friendly, family style atmosphere. So thing I don't like about the big gyms is you go in there and you're just a number. No one knows who you are. I went to London a few times as well. So when we will go to London anyway for like meetings and stuff, but I went to like scope out different gyms and see what they were doing and what they were like. And one thing I hated was you go in there, and I happened to 3 different gyms. So it was obviously like a theme of the city. I go in there and there'd be like 3 girls behind the desk and no one wants to serve me.
Yeah.
They're just all talking to each other and it's like, oh, go on, you do it. Like that's the most unwelcoming, first contact I'm getting with someone in this gym. So that's something we hammer home to them. Don't be doing that. I go to
Pro in Waterloo, and I used to go to Pure or whatever, blah, blah, blah. You go in there, no one talks to you. If you speak to someone, you're a weirdo. And in Tier Pro, it's like that. I grew up in a pub. My mum and dad ran a pub. It takes me back there. It's like, it was like a local pub. So if you can take that magic that they've got and bring it into them,
that's it. That's the game, mate.
That's it. But I choose to go there because of the people and the little sense of community we've got.
Yeah.
But the other ones, everyone's the fucking...
Yeah. It changes, mate, doesn't it? And I think this city is... It's a difficult place, and I feel like what's going on now with a lot of kids, like I'm getting sent videos constantly of kids robbing houses, like young 13, 14-year-old kids. I'm like, what's going on? Like that's... Don't get me wrong, I know that's always happened, but not to this extent. And I feel like a lot of them do feel like they haven't got what the other kids have got, like the 600-pound trainees and the coats and whatever else. So I feel like in this city, there's a pressure to look a certain way, to go a certain place, to be a certain person. Yeah. Like mate, and you've obviously highlighted that with like Turkey and stuff, where you've made fun of that, which is brilliant. Yeah. But that is it to the extreme. Them people are in our city. I know, and they're in other cities, but I feel like Liverpool, I think maybe because I've travelled a little bit as well, it's very condensed here like that. They're not like that everywhere. Kids aren't like that everywhere, mate. And wealthy kids, you don't see them with fucking 500-pound trainees and stuff. It doesn't really happen. It's very much here.
Sad, isn't it?
Do you know what Nicky Holt, the writer, says something to me once? He said, say like Liverpool's like a little community, whatever. He said the difference with Liverpool is Liverpool's got a river, right? So say something happens in Liverpool in the community, the news spreads out like that, right? And it just like a ripple in the water, right? Blah, blah, blah. But he said the thing with Liverpool is, because it's on a river, the ripple effect, it goes out, but because the river, it bounces back.
Okay.
You know that?
That's interesting. I've never heard that before. It's brilliant.
More intense in Liverpool. And that's why Liverpool...
Yeah. Do
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%, mate, yeah.
You get it twice as much.
Yeah.
And it's just that ripple effect.
Well, things catch on, don't they? Like the cosmic Scousers thing. Like, there's a big wave of that. Do you know what I mean? There's people like, seeking out meditation and all that, which is brilliant. I think it is really, really good. There's obviously a lot worse things you could be doing with your time, but I think there's who was it? I think it was, oh my God, not Nietzsche, another philosopher, Carl Jung, and he said, people don't have ideas have people. And I feel like that's sort of what Liverpool is. Like once an idea happens, it gets as many people as it can. So the idea might be this, the idea might be podcasting and spreading like good information and whatever. It's like, it hasn't been our idea, it wasn't my idea. Podcasting wasn't like going around for years, but it's an idea and now it's got people. And I feel like the negativity side of things as well, where like we're all after that, like that quick high of I've bought a new pair of trainees or gone to this posh place or whatever. Like, what does it actually mean? It's fleeting. Like that gratification you get of it, the instant gratification is so fleeting, it's gone. As soon as it's arrived, it's left and on to the next thing. So I think, Liverpool is, as you say, it's a place where ideas can be cultivated fast, whether a good idea or a bad idea. But it's interesting, that analogy, mate. I've never heard that.
I've really enjoyed this.
Thanks, John.
Very
No, I
much.
have, mate. Yeah, appreciate it.
You've inspired me. You've given me a little bit
mate.
of energy. You've given me a buzz. So nice
No,
one.
well, I say you've both inspired me, mate, over the last 12 months, as I say, from Jazz Ed, like, obviously, a little interesting one as well, funny one before we finish. You know this, Jazz, but when Jazz was in the semis, a mate of ours, Tom Stalker, got on our group chat and went, lads, Jazz is 4-1 here. Crazy odds, like, he should win. So we all lumped on Jazz, and obviously he did. And then in the final, the same as well. Makes me sound like a compulsive gambler, which I'm not, but won a couple of quid out of Jazz this last 2 nights. So no pressure, Jazz, for the next one.
Shout out Tom Stalker.
Shout out Tom Stalker.
Yeah, but where can we find you on social media?
So KO8_fitness is the main KO8 Instagram. I haven't got no personal stuff on there, just a business one. KO8_Dubai is our Dubai Insta. KO8.fitness is our website. And yeah, KO8 on demand if you want to look at all the online training we're doing as well.
Brilliant. Look forward to seeing what's going on in the future.
No, thank you. Thanks
for
Good
coming,
stuff.
Kieran.
No, really
Yes.
appreciate it, boys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Woo! Next time on the How Are We Famalam podcast, we'll be speaking to Molly Meatball McCann.
At the end of the fight, I just remember running over to the camera and screaming, "This is how much it fucking means." And I was just crying my eyes out. And then when I won, it was like I've never felt that moment again since. I've been like a drug addict trying to get that, chase that feeling. It's never, I've had to like deal, it's never coming back again. But Dan Hardy put his arms around, he's like, "How does it feel to be the first English woman to win in the UFC? I went, "How about that?" And then I just went, "I'm from the fucking hardest city in the world. I'm from Liverpool. That was for you." Do you know what I mean? And then fucking, yeah.
Oh, eh.
So then my life's just been great ever since then, yeah.
Faster Car Finance provide a smooth, hassle-free way for you to apply for car finance and to get the vehicle of your choice. Whether you have good or bad credit, no deposit is required. A decision is reached within minutes, and one of our dedicated finance advisors will be available to discuss your requirements. Apply now at www.fastercarfinance.co.uk.